What's up guys, my name is Samuel Leeds. Welcome to Winners on a Wednesday. This week I would love to introduce you to Chris Jaap. He's absolutely killing it when it comes to rent-to-rent, particularly in HMOs. So he's going to share his story, give you some top golden nuggets and tips and explain how exactly he has done it. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So give me a little bit of background. What were you doing prior to property and what got you into property?
Prior to property, I was a contractor working for National Air Traffic Services, where I would travel up and down the country installing communication systems in traffic control.
Sounds so fun.
It's fun, it was well paid, but it involved a lot of travelling. Before that I was offshore, and then before that I was in the Air Force for 14 years. So every job I had leading up to this point, I was travelling. I was away. Didn't mind it when you're younger, 37 now, married with a small child. Your perception on life changes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time I'll be spending in the airports travelling or in the car, and I thought, this is a waste of a day, this is a waste of an evening, it's a waste of a week. So I started, how can I get out? What can I do?
Yeah. So it's time.
That was the big thing for me, yeah.
How old's your little one?
He's 2 now.
Oh, awesome.
So it's nice to finally, now that I've got past the first hurdle of being financially free, the difference in life is just puts a smile on my face every day. So I'm happy for that reason anyway.
So how did you hear about property and investing and myself?
Well, it started with podcasts really. I started asking myself questions, how can I earn the equivalent of what I was earning and more, and go past this beyond my wildest dreams and be from home. The only job that I kept going back to was property, so I kept listening to podcasts. So it was podcast, and then led on to YouTube, and I saw yourself on YouTube. And that wasn't when I first met you. It took me about another year until I finally went to a crash course.
What took you so long?
I don't know. Again, I think
time.
Time.
Everything.
It's
time. You know, when you're financially free, suddenly you can start doing more stuff, exploring.
That's it. So I spent the evenings just reading books, reaching out to people. How did you do that? What did you do? Why did you do that? And it seemed to be the same thing, and everyone had the same reason almost. They didn't want to do what they were doing. They wanted to change their life. Yeah. So
what, you were like hunting down successful people, and asking them what they did
and how they doing it, what they do.
That's great. And you know what? That's why I have you here, because people ask me, you know, Samuel, you've been successful, but people try and hunt down my students.
Yeah, do they?
To just pick their brains.
Well, that's it.
And I think it's a real gift to my YouTube channel to be able to pull people on like you. When did you start? When did you come on my crash course?
May this year. So we're in June now.
Like a month ago.
Yes, that was your crash course was my deciding factor for taking the leap.
But hold on, you've got 9 rent to HMOs. You've got 10 in total. You've just got a 10th. When did you get your first one?
June last year.
My goodness. So how did you have the knowledge? Did you just do it literally just off YouTube or what?
Books. I read a lot of books, and again, I can't emphasize how teaching yourself and reaching out to people. Your YouTube channels were, you know, so many little gems and nuggets on there.
Yeah.
But you mix that in with other people's gems and other people's knowledge, and again, asking them, you just put things together. Yeah. You find out what works, and then you highlight what works. And
that's cool, because you know what? The crash course, as you know, is magical.
Yeah, it's something else, I'll be honest. Again, I came as a skeptic and I left, quitting my job.
I'm just trying to work this out. So a year ago you found me on YouTube. You've been watching the YouTube videos, you've been reading loads of books, listening to podcasts, going around meeting people that are doing it, and just went out doing it. But then, why were you a skeptic when you came to my crash course last month if you were already doing it and making money off the back of my YouTube videos?
Because it was working and it was growing steadily. But the success stories from the crash course and how you were making it look so easy. Yeah. I mean, again, my specialty was Rent-to-Rent HMOs. You talked about how you can get this lease option, you can get no money down on this, that, and it was as easy as you say, as easy as this. So and then you were doing it on the course, and then other people, once I followed up on the Facebook, speaking to other people, they were doing it. So I thought, again, one of the things that got me into it is, well, if they're doing it, why can't I do it?
Do you think that you almost went about it the hard way?
Definitely, 100%. 100%.
So you should have just got the training from me probably sooner, rather than just watching YouTube.
Definitely. I took the long way around, but it still only took a year, but it was the right way.
But dude, you've done really well. But it's funny that you were doing well, so you were doing well, but you were thinking, I'm doing well, it's working, but he probably makes it sound a bit too easy.
Yeah, it can't be that true. It can't be that true.
Until you came to the crash course.
And then that was it. I took the crash course.
Just in May.
The crash course in May. I managed to secure it. I was waiting on 2 deals to come through, and they both came through on that weekend.
Yeah.
I came into a small amount of money, and I thought, you know what?
How did you come into that money?
It's from the RAF sports lottery. It was a lottery through the Air Force.
Nice.
Just managed to win a little bit of money, so it was had enough there for safety buffer, for to live off,
yeah.
and still to invest. And then with the renewed confidence of seeing how it's done for a different level.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I can up my game if I focused on it. If I've achieved this whilst working full time,
yeah,
imagine what I could achieve.
And I know you used to constantly, you've not constantly, but you've sent me a few messages on Facebook just saying stuff like, oh my gosh, just got another deal, thank you so much for your videos, things like this. And then it got to the point where I was just like, and I know you're on the academy now.
Join the academy now, yes. I thought
it's about time.
I've got to go all the way now.
It's about time.
It's all or nothing, you see.
And when you told me you were on the academy, and I just thought this guy's really serious, because sometimes for me, when people say, I've got this deal, I've got all these deals, I'm making this money, if I don't know them personally, if I'm, sometimes I'm not quite sure how to take it.
Are you sure? Are you lying a little bit there?
We're not lying, but I'm just thinking, are they being a bit optimistic? What's going on? But then when you came to the crash course and we physically met and you joined the academy, and now things have obviously moved to a slightly different level, and it's still early days. But we checked you out, responded on Facebook, we had some conversations, and I just thought, what you've achieved in the last 12 months, almost on your own. To a point, it's really remarkable, and it also shows that, because sometimes people think that the crash course or any training in the academy is a magic wand, which is really not.
No.
What it is it's a toolbox, and it's a bunch of cheerleaders saying, you can do it, here's the tools, you can do it. Yeah. But ultimately, everyone is self-made to a point, because you've got to do the work yourself.
It's self-made, but all my steps were through other people. So as much as I'm self-made, the old cliche, no one is self-made.
Yeah.
Someone else always helps you out.
I guess it depends on how you define self-made.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger says, no one's self-made. Everyone's got to where they're at because people have helped them, which I 100% agree with. But at the same time, I think everyone's self-made. If your life sucks, you've made it that way. If your life is good and you're doing really well, you've made that happen. Ultimately, the buck stops with you. You are the chairman and CEO of your life.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's never been. It wasn't always plain sailing. There was hardships. There was some difficult moments. But whenever you're faced with a bit of adversity, you just, again, someone's done it. You're not the first person to think you're failing to an extent. So find out what people did to overcome.
Yeah.
That was mine. I'd say that's one of my greatest tools. It's the confidence of knowing that someone else has done it, so you can do it.
Yeah. That's so true. We're standing on the shoulders of giants. You don't have to be alone, and it is sometimes lonely as a property investor. Did you not find getting those, and however many deals it was, like certainly over 5, even before coming on the crash course, just alone, you were getting the education off of people and podcasts and YouTube, but was it lonely?
It was lonely because it was my venture to set out to do this. The wife, she helps me out. She does things with me now. Not quite full time yet with me because she still studies university, but it got to the point where I needed her to be involved as well. But before that, the usual things. Why are you doing that? You're not going to. If anything goes drastically wrong, you're next on the line.
Yeah.
Are you sure you know what you're doing? And all this. A lot of skeptics, basically.
Yeah.
Skeptics. It does put a little bit of seed of doubt in there, but if you stay with the confidence of knowing that it can work and it will work, and you'll find ways to make it work.
Yeah, that's so cool. Sometimes people say, that all my success students, all of them, have paid my company a ton of money. And while that might be the case sometimes, because they've invested into the training, I love having people like you on, because you became financially free. You became financially free as a result of the free resources and the free tools that myself and my team are putting out there. But then as a result of that, you'd be crazy not to say, you know what, I'm now financially free as a result of the free stuff. You'd be crazy to say, I'm going to stop now.
No, well, it was twofold. Again, it was twofold. So because I got the ambition and drive to want to go somewhere. If you're in the like-minded, if you're in the set of like-minded people, that's going to just propel you. Because as you mentioned, it is lonely sometimes. You think, you know what, you're making progression, but you see other people progress further and faster. You think, well, again, why are they doing that? Why are they going further and faster?
Yeah.
Because they're in an environment as such as the Academy offers.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to get started with that. I'm excited to get going with that. But one thing I've found out since I've started putting myself out there is people come to you the same way I was going to them.
Yeah.
So I've already, constantly putting out messages to other people, giving back, and I think that's something where, again, I want to give that back to people.
Yeah.
So it's twofold: success and helping people.
That's true. And the biggest way that you'll help people is by inspiring people to show them what's possible.
Yeah, true. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question then. So you've got currently to this day, how many property rent-to-rents have you got that are up and running right now as we speak?
We've got 7 up and running. We've got 2 that are just being converted, and there's 1 being signed on tomorrow.
Congrats. And that's the
10-bed HMO.
Oh mate, how much will that make?
That will make upwards of 12 to 13 a month. We're just doing the final negotiations. That's the minimum.
How much a month?
12 to £1,300 a month.
Wow, brilliant, mate. Yeah. You know what? That kind of money, £1,200 a month on one deal, it's not bad.
It's not to be sniffed at. It's a bit daunting when you realise, it is 10 beds to fill. But if you've done your research, your due diligence, you know it's in the right area of the market, and you've got the demand, and it's kitted up right. You've got no reason why you shouldn't think it would work. No one believe it would work.
Yeah. So, first deal. Talk me through the numbers. Where was it? How did you find it?
The first deal, I would say, it's not my best deal, but it worked, and it was my foundation for teaching me what I should have done differently, I guess.
Yeah.
It was sent out the usual HMO letters direct to landlords.
Great.
Got some responses back. Messed up the first few because I wouldn't know how to speak to them properly. Nailed the third one. Spoke with him, but he was very. He knew what he wanted. He was not budging off this thing. And with me being, still quite naive and new to it, I just thought, well, it can work if we make it, if we do this, and if I shave the percentages down a little bit, I can make it work.
So you were desperate for a deal?
I would go with, I think you could use the word desperate and loose.
Motivated.
Thank you, that's better.
But the thing is, you don't want to be a motivated buyer.
No.
You want to be dealing with motivated sellers, and you want to be a shrewd investor. But it's your first deal.
Get your first deal up and running, and the rest will follow.
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
So that set me up then, and it was a 9-bed HMO.
Wow. Where?
In Chester again.
Chester. So you sent out some HMO letters. He responded and said, "Yo, Chris, I'm interested, but these are the terms."
These are the terms. Previously he's quite a wealthy landlord. He's got a multiple portfolio, which is why again I'll lead on to after this. He'd been previously let down by the management company. They trashed the place with tenants. He's like, look, I need someone to look after it. It needs this much investment. So I put £5,000 in. He put £5,000 in. We revamped it, new carpets, painted everything, furniture, and because it was quite a tired place, tired streets. I've since seen inside most of the properties on that same street, and they're horrible. So I thought if I could make mine just better than theirs, then I know it will work.
Yeah.
So we did all that, and it's been full ever since. So
it's great.
So
how much are you paying the landlord?
Paying him
2,200. Jeez, that's a big commitment.
It's a big commitment.
And how much profit are you making on that deal?
I'm making 950.
Wow.
So
respect.
That was the gamble, you see.
Good job. But is it full now?
It's full now. We're just going through the transition. I'm actually converting it back into a student HMO.
Okay.
So we've got the students all lined up to start from September, and all the tenancy agreements were in place up until that point. Section 21 was served to make sure everything was okay, hunky-dory.
Pros and cons, student lets and professional lets?
So far, it's hassle from students, I think, because they all don't know how to
live.
Exist. They don't know how to function as humans sometimes.
They don't. They'll ring up the management company and they'll say the light isn't working, it's broken, and you just need to change the bulb, right?
We had some. We run out of plates and dishes, but you can't have because you only just moved in there. Well, we found out someone wasn't washing the dishes, so instead of washing them, they just put them in the bin. So we're throwing the cutlery and plates away.
Oh my goodness!
It's £950 profit, but it's not always just plain sailing. So
sometimes people do stupid things.
People are stupid sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about the pros of a student let? Because you're changing this one to a student let.
Yes, the pros of the student let is once they're signed up, you've got guaranteed rent for that full term.
Yeah.
Full duration. Whatever you set your conditions are, if it's 48 week, 52 week, 50 week, whatever you set, that's it, you're full.
And is your landlord happy?
He is very happy, yes. He has since given me 3 more properties.
Nice.
So we got 3 in total with this landlord, and he messaged me a few days ago talking about how he's happy now to fund me if he wants. If you see any properties, he'll now buy the properties. We'll go 50-50 on it as long as I manage it.
Do you know what, mate? A good relationship is always better than a good deal. You got that first deal that you're a bit unsure about, it's a big commitment, but now you've got this relationship with the agent. I bet you're making, how much money are you making just off of that guy alone?
Just off him, about £2,500 probably.
There we go.
Just off
and that's just 3 houses, and you've got a whole bunch more. What's your occupancy rate in total across all the properties that are currently up and running?
At the moment, we are quite a high percentage. I like to think if you're doing anything less than sort of 5% occupancy, 95%, then you kind of running it a bit wrong.
All right.
If you know when someone's leaving, you get the views out. Get it marketing out early.
Yes.
Get the viewings lined up so when you can't move into a list date, that one's out, their person's in.
You know what? These little tips and tricks can be the difference between an 85% occupancy rate and a 95 or even 100% in some cases. One of the things that I do when I move a tenant in to a HMO is, as a part of the agreement, I tell them that when they give notice to move, I will have the right to show people around and do viewings. Yes. As long as I give them enough notice, they can't say, no, you're not allowed to come and show people around.
That would put a big halt to everything, and especially the way I like to operate and run things.
Yeah.
So that would
also, I don't know if you've done this, but what we do with our properties is we market them before they're even ready. So
we have done. We always concentrate on, especially some of the properties, they've had to do quite a lot of refurbishment. Like I mentioned with that first one, we've done 3 since that needed a full refurbishment on them. We focus on one room first. Yeah. Get that room kitted fully kitted out. Take nice photos. Get it out onto the spare room, etc. The forums, and then say we've got a property with X amount of beds. They're all going to be to this standard. Yeah. We recently, one only came live 3 weeks ago. 2 days and it's full.
Brilliant, mate. You know what? That's such a good trick. And what I do, something really similar, is I find that when tenants come and it's at the moment a building site or whatever, or just really bland, and you say, look, this is it at the moment, show pictures or show a room, this is what it's going to be like, they almost own it, and they're like, oh, this is what it's going to be like, and this is what it's going to be, and you can get them to put down deposits and upfront rent.
Furniture in place, you think, well, I can put this there, you can.
Yeah, and they're in on it. Yeah. And then when they move in, it's like, I've waited for this. This has been made for me. And then they'll tend to stay longer. You can get rents quick, no voids. No. So that really helps. That's great. Okay, talk to me about after you got those 3 deals off that landlord. What about the other deals? How did you find them the same way?
Yeah, same way. Letters. There was one that came through recommendation. I was speaking with a landlord to speak to him about taking over his portfolio. Nothing came of that. However, he did recommend me to somebody else, and I got a deal through that. Another deal was passed to me through recommendation again from another landlord. Yeah. So it's literally, if you get out there and you start, putting yourself in the right positions, deals do actually start coming to you. Yeah. I mean, it's never looked back since. Obviously. How
many letters do you think you've sent in total to get to where you've got to?
I think I only focused on the Chester one, the Chester markets for the letters. I sent out 120 letters 4-5 times possibly.
So you've probably sent out, what, 600-700 letters?
Yeah, all first class stamps, by the way.
Right, there we go. But people sometimes say, I hear people making excuses saying, letters don't work. Yeah, and they do. They might not work all the time. No. And how many letters, people that say that letters don't work normally have only sent out 20 letters.
Well, the first batch I sent out, I got 1 or 2 responses. The first response was from the landlord who I got the 3 deals with. Yeah. And one of the one was one that I messed up with. And then I thought, it's not as good as I thought it was. And I sent out another batch next month. Then it started coming out because it's 7 points of contact. If the people start.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
To me, it's more about just seeing you, recognising you being.
7 points of contact. Explain what that is, because it's interesting and people need to know.
7 points of contact. They need to be familiar with you, your brand, who you are, what you represent. If you just drop I always use the analogy that the local kebab shop. If he comes down and drops a leaflet, you just throw it in the bin. You come back, you just throw it in the bin. The next time he comes back, you stop dropping these in, and then all of a sudden, I'm quite peckish. Where's that leaflet?
Yeah.
That's what it happens.
And the 7 point of contact is so powerful because basically, statistically, on average, the average person needs to hear from you 7 times before doing business, right? So it's the same as like McDonald's. You know, if you see a McDonald's and then you see a something, I don't know, a hungry lion, which I know is popular in Africa, but a hungry lion in England, you're going to every time go to the McDonald's because you've seen them more, you're more familiar with them, you've seen them on the TV, you've seen them in the newspapers, you've heard your friends talking about them, you know them, they've been around a long time, and it's just that familiar.
I think that was it. Yeah. I think it's the one I'm finishing the deal with tomorrow, getting the keys off her. They said they see my letters a year ago, right. But they never did anything since.
Right.
And the one who I signed 2 months ago, I approached him in April, and he's the one I messed up on.
Yeah.
Because I just offered the wrong negotiations, things went a bit pear-shaped, but we had a good rapport, and he liked me, which was one thing I will suggest to people, is just, even if you do mess up, or if you don't say the wrong words, say the right words, just be nice and friendly with them, they'll come back to you.
Yeah.
And he phoned me up a year later, and he's like, look, things have gone a bit wrong with this, I've not got the occupancy rate I wanted. I liked what you were offering, I liked what you were doing. Could we do something this time?
Right.
I met up with him, and we got things right. We nailed it this time and took over.
Because I wonder how many people have thought, I really want to remember the name of the guy who sent me the letter, but I've lost the letter. Yeah. I can't. There's going to be hundreds of people a year later, and that's why you've got to just be active, continually be marketing to people. Let me ask you a question then, Chris. Where are you getting who are you sending letters to, and how are you getting their addresses?
Getting the addresses from the council. Speak to the council, and they have a list of all HMO, any property with HMO license. It has the address for the property itself, and the landlord's address and the manager's address. So
brilliant.
It's got everything, any bit of information you want on there.
That's great.
So you can, if you're short on tenants, one of the things that we're looking at doing is for a marketing suite is message out to the houses themselves.
Yeah.
And say, look, if you want a room, do you want to upgrade to this? Then we can create a database of tenants. So if you ever have an empty room, so you're
messaging, you're sending letters to the actual properties of HMOs.
We're about to, yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'd like to kind of keep a database of students. I'd like to keep a database of tenants. You see.
Yeah.
So if you ever do have an empty room, instead of constantly having to pay spare room to go out there, you can just MailChimp, boom, send it out to your list.
Yeah.
We've got an empty room, who wants this?
That's great. Do you manage the tenants yourself?
At the moment, yes.
Good.
Yes, we
good.
do.
Because at the moment then it's not completely passive, the income, because you're working for it, which is fine. No. But when you know how to do it yourself, it's so much easier to recruit someone. Yes. It's like when you're dealing with builders. If you don't have the first clue about property and you're dealing with a builder, a lot of builders, they'll rip you off, they'll pull the wool over your eyes. Yeah. Letting agents are the same, HMO management companies. If you have no idea how to run a HMO,
you don't do. That's the thing. We've started, especially in the last, I'd say, 4 months since I became financially free. Only 2 months ago, I realised then that yes, I was financially free. I had the income there to support what we're doing and bits of profit. But then I thought, well, I've kind of just created another job for myself.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I need to get out of this. Otherwise, I'm taking myself into the job. You know, work on your property, not in your property.
Yeah.
Business even. So that was so we've written every process up now. So we've started to hand this out, searching out for VAs. And
great. So what does it mean? What's the difference between working on your property business and working in it?
Well, it's the epitome of that analogy now. I'm working in my property day to day, doing viewings, bookings, fixing washing machines, sorting out the handyman to come and visit instead of going out looking for the next deal, getting the next thing. So someone else could be doing this. Someone else could be doing the day-to-day management of the property. Then I can use my time better to build the business. Yeah. Not just maintain the business, I need to build it.
Absolutely. But the fact that you're now in a position where you've got 10, I know they're not all, some of them you've only just put on the market, but 10 properties, some of them making up to £900 per property, really profitable properties, that then puts you in a strong position because you've got the knowledge, you've got the experience, you've got the money, and then you can employ someone, you can get a management company, you can get VAs to take care of the everyday running costs, still make a nice income yourself. You smiled when I said that.
That's the thing, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, which is your next step.
Yes.
So systemization.
Systemization, we've got systems in process to make it efficient. A lot of the things, because we're on the move a lot of the time, there's a lot of, we use, like your phone for everything, so everything's systemized to your phone.
Yeah.
So you can answer everything, send emails, and a lot of cut and paste processes. You find them in your Dropbox documents, find it, just cut and paste that, that's a reply to that. Any generic response, anything you do 2 or 3 times, there's a process for it.
Yeah.
So now I've written up the process so I can then get someone else to do that.
Brill.
So it's foolproof. So
and then if they call you, so I love that. So, and this is one of the things we'll work with you on for sure in the academy, but you write a manual of every little thing, how you do it. You give that to a manager, but then every time they phone you with a problem, then you solve it, but then you write down what happened in the manual so that they don't phone you with that problem again. And then it gets to the point where you're in a position in business where it's like there might be like every 6 months a really obscure problem. You're like, oh my gosh, no one's ever asked me that before. Put it in the manual.
Just keep modifying, keep updating.
Yeah.
Keep on top
but you know what though, Chris? I'm glad that you've put the work in, because sometimes people ask me questions and they'll say, you know, how do I systemize this? You know, how do I make this passive? And I always advise, before trying to systemize something, before thinking about the XYZ, plan the ABC. That your focus when you're starting out as a property entrepreneur, your sole focus has got to be to make money.
Yeah.
When you're making the money, then you have a new problem. And then it's, well, how do I systemize this?
Good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. When you're making like 5-10 grand a month and you're thinking, wow, I want to start systemizing this, then deal about the systemization. But don't people's problem at first is, how do I get a deal? How do I get in with landlords? How do I get tenants? Which is a problem that now you've solved.
I think it's one of the benefits I saw of joining the academy. Like I say, I did it a long way round. I did it about phases. I made myself financially free, then joined.
Yeah.
But it was only because I still need guidance. I still need the next steps.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's got the step. Everyone's got the next level.
Yeah.
So this is why you can offer that. I can learn the next steps.
Yeah.
Systemization is the next thing for me. Whilst I can move on to the next chapter.
That's great. So what's the biggest lesson that you've learned in the last 12 months?
Biggest lesson is due diligence. I think is the key thing.
Go ahead.
Is always do your research on what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Especially with the HMOs, we found I was only confident that I could take on the larger properties and make them work. Especially Chester's not the biggest of areas, so the demand is there, but it's not exactly amazing.
Yeah.
So you have to be. In my eyes, you just have to make sure you're better than what the other person is.
Yeah.
And the other person at the moment, there's still very tired landlords out there who have your basic magnolia walls, your brown carpets, and your flat pack, bulky IKEA beds, and you're thinking it's not very good.
Yeah.
So if you just have to do a basic freshen up of paint, it's just a nicer IKEA bed, and then you're done.
That's great. You know what? It's so important because when you're going to do a rent-to-rent deal, you've got to look anyhow. You've got to look at what's the supply, what's the demand, and if there's a lot of supply and you're thinking there's loads of HMOs already, it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You've just got to be better.
That's it. It's as simple as that. It's just you've got to be better. And when the people started coming through, I was surprised at how bad what they were being offered previously, because they were saying things like, "Oh God, this is amazing, sign up straight away." And I was thinking, this isn't, this is my first property. This isn't exactly the best thing I could have done. I could have gone, if it was my own property, I could put more money in it.
Yeah.
It would be even better. But it was better than what they were living with.
When people tell me, "Oh, this area is oversaturated," and I look into it, normally what they mean is this area is oversaturated with shabby, rubbish.
Look at the levels.
Yeah, it's oversaturated with those, but how many properties in that area are good quality, high standard, reasonably priced, on spare room right now? Probably not that many. There's 500 rooms available at the moment, but they all suck apart from 20 of them. But then there's hundreds of people looking for rooms. So as long as you're in the top 5-10%, you're going to fill it.
That's it. We started doing a new thing now as well. Again, it's our way of trying to systemize whilst we finally get someone else to come into it. Is doing block viewings as well.
Yes.
We find you do the block viewings, it speeds up the urgency for people. Well, I'll put the deposit down before this person does. So it's instead of just trying to run a lot of your time going, I've got a viewing at 1:15, 2:30, 2 o'clock, come back for this. Just do it all at once, and it doubles the impact because they want to do it there and then as well. So
apart from the systemization, what's next for you?
Next for me is I want to start looking into commercial to residential. I've started going to a few. I've only ever been to 3 network meetings so far, and each one has been productive in a new way. And from that, great contacts have come from it. So again, skeptic of coming to the crash course, or skeptic of going to these network meetings. What do I talk about? What can I back up with? I've only got at that point, X amount of properties, 4 or 5. Not going to believe what I say, but You get it's building up relationships.
Yeah.
If they can see you can do what you do well enough, even at that level, and you're likable, people, they see the confidence you've got, they'll trust you.
Yeah.
And then you can just build from that. And so I met I thought he was just a financial broker. I was speaking to him about how do I do bridging for certain properties. And I said, I've got this property I want to look at. And he was like, well, I'll back you.
Great.
So that's what I want to start doing.
So you want to move on to sort of bigger deals?
Bigger, more stressful deals, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what though, as you grow, your ability. Sometimes people say, I want to do a big deal, but they've not done a small deal yet.
No.
And I think it's really important to start out small, and then as you grow, like now, a Rent-to-HMO, a rent-to-rent in Cheshire, you'll eat that up for breakfast. It doesn't scare you.
No, not at all.
Whereas a year ago, I bet you were like, oh my gosh.
I think I almost panicked when went live for the first day on the first one. I was thinking, oh, that's a £2,200, like I say, it's a lot of money to be paying.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. What if it doesn't work? What if it is void? What if it is empty?
Yeah.
Never look back.
But now you look, what happens when you become successful and you get bigger, you look back at your old problems, they look small.
Yes, but then you find new problems.
Yeah.
But again, everyone's got a problem. Everything's got a solution.
Yeah, and the definition of an entrepreneur is someone that is always problem solving, and always stepping out of your comfort zone. So I love seeing you grow.
Thank you.
And you're absolutely killing it. So final words of wisdom then to someone watching this. Maybe they're like you and they're feeling a bit skeptical or a bit afraid, but they want it. What will be your final words of advice?
I think confidence and belief.
Yeah.
I really do. I think confidence and belief, that's one thing I knew I had myself, was confidence and belief. Knowing that anyone else has done it, then I could emulate that easy. And
that's almost like you got a little voice saying, it's not possible, they're making it too easy and all this, but then you're going to say, hold on a minute, shut up little voice, let's look at the facts. The facts are, someone's done it.
How are they doing it? You can do it.
Yeah, every week we have someone sat here becoming successful.
It all starts, everyone has the first step, everyone has the first path. Take it somewhere where you want to take it.
I love that. And in hindsight, going back, what would you do differently?
What I do differently? I think the Rent-to-SA deal that I did, I would definitely do more due diligence with that one.
Yeah.
It's working, but we're having to really focus at the moment on marketing with that one.
It's not got the occupancy rates you wanted.
It's not got the occupancy rate, no, that we wanted.
Yeah.
But we know it can get better. There are things we can do to improve it. We are approaching local companies so we can share Facebook pages, etc.
Cool.
Advertise and things. But it's
because you've got 9 HMOs and then 1 SA.
Yes.
And the SA is a bit.
It's glory. It's good. It's good. It's amazing. It's just that it was new to me. So I think that again back to the first HMO deal when I was a bit. Is it going to?
Yeah.
And then it's only been live for a month, so I'm a bit. Is that going to?
Well, we'll look forward to doing part 2 maybe next year.
Yes, that's fine.
And seeing you as a whole new, even bigger person, doing commercial development, having SAs, systemizing your rent-to-rent business.
I hope so. I generally do.
Well, let's make you happen, bro. Good job. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Cheers.
So please don't be as skeptical as Chris was. Don't watch my YouTube videos for a whole year before getting down to a property investors crash course. Check the link below. Get yourself booked on so that you too can achieve results like this. And I look forward to seeing you there real soon. Thanks and see you next time.